In this segment, we're going to talk about Warmachine Mark III and the last 3 Insiders and the last Primecast.
Hi guys, I'm the Dark Lord.
Well, they already know.
I know, but I just wanted to say my name again.
All right.
Yeah, baby.
Well, okay, he'll be the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
So
which I don't even know if it was my name in the beginning of the show.
I think it was.
I'm pretty sure you got it's pretty close.
There is goodness and consistency.
Fair. So we're just going to go over some of the updated announcements, really, like to the changes to Mark III, because it turns out that with 3 Insiders and another Primecast, our stuff is now a little out of date, not a huge amount out of date.
You realize we're going to have to do this literally every week, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
At least until Mark III drops, probably.
Yeah.
However, we're going to have a little more consolidated.
Is Mark III a Mark 2.5 or it's actually like Mark III, like it's a new version?
From what I can tell so far, it looks like it's more like a significant revamp to this core systems, but it's still the same game.
Right.
So
it's a rebalancing and a pruning of like rules complexity that they deemed unnecessary, and I would tend to agree.
Yeah,
right.
So there's a whole lot of changes, but at the same time, the meat of the game is still, I think, the same.
So my big question is, will this allow me to bring back the glory of the popcorn shredder list?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Fantastic.
You just need to get your cards.
I am in.
So anyway, in the Insider on the 18th, William Schick is the guy who's been doing the updates for the Insider. I think he's also been he's one of the dudes that's designing the edition.
Of course.
He's a champion.
So things that we didn't know about last week that we do know now is kind of where we're going with this.
Hang on, before we start, are we going to discuss these as we go along? Or are we going to
I think we will. Yeah,
let's just discuss them as we go along. We don't
because it'll be otherwise we're not going to keep track. Yeah. So in the new edition, frenzy rules have changed a little bit. They simply state that a frenzying war beast shakes all effects that can be shaken. Then they charge the closest model, make a single attack against the charged target using its highest power and strength attack, and that's it. So there's no more this weird priority rule. There's no
that's
more.
Pretty great. I do have 2 questions about that, and one of them is from the forums. The first question is, when they say charge the nearest target, do they literally mean charge in that you have to be able to see, or do they mean doesn't matter what direction? Because that is one thing that they don't really clarify.
I would prefer line of sight.
The way I understand it, and this is just based on what we're told here, is when you say you have to charge the nearest target, you have to meet the conditions for the charge.
Yeah, so that makes sense. The other question being I'm assuming that the War Beast is still fucked for the rest of the turn, because otherwise that could be abused. It just doesn't explicitly say there that the War Beast doesn't get to activate.
But it doesn't say. It just says the frenzy rules simply state that a frenzying war beast shakes all effects that can be shaken, then charges the closest model and makes a single attack against the charged target using its highest power and strength attack. No more long if-then chart to check against. Just shake, charge, and attack.
It also is there any way to restrain frenzy, like by special combos or characters?
There are certain models, or at least in Mark II, there's certain models that can prevent frenzy.
Right.
In Mark III, there may be, but we don't know yet.
The purpose of this, they wanted frenzying to matter again. So my suspicion is that they would be light on abilities to get around that.
Right.
I think you need to manage your fury better and so prevent it from happening, or accept the consequences in potentially a positive way. So
my inference is that they're really just when they say this, they're just talking about the priority targeting rules being changed, because otherwise they don't make any mention of the fury points dropping off the beast. They don't make any mention.
I would assume that you shouldn't have to use fury if you're frenzied, because you're losing your control. So the way that it works in Mark II is when you frenzy, you do your charge attack following this priority list, and then you lose all the fury points on the beast, which is effectively freeing them up. It's not giving them to it. It's just.
I think that part will probably stay the same.
I figure it just doesn't explicitly state that.
Exactly. So. Another significant thing is they've removed psychology from the game, so they've decided that it just isn't
fun.
Good move.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it also reduces the big thing that they state is that it reduces the total volume of rules and creates a more fun, rewarding.
Yeah, because it's no one in there. I don't know of anyone that ever fucking cared about had fun making command checks.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's similar into Warhammer, where you're oh, he's afraid, and now he just doesn't do anything.
I mean,
it's not a fun rule. It's not a thing that you're yeah, that's a great thing that happened. And in a lot of cases, especially in Warmachine,
It's so random.
Half of the armies have immunities to it, and like it's not consistent, so they're just doing away with it entirely. They're like, you know what, it doesn't add to the game, so fuck it, it's out. Yeah. Additionally, they're removing skill checks from the game, which is another great thing because that was a thing where you'd roll a dice to see if you succeeded at doing a menial task. So something like, I'm going to go repair my dude guy. Well, check to see if it happens. Well, in this case, your guy's he's a guy that repairs things, so he goes up and he fixes it, and that's your interaction. It doesn't have to be a random chance.
I think that's like both of those most recent rule changes that we're talking about, like the psychology and the skill check removal, cut down on random factors that don't need to be in the game.
Yeah.
At all.
So that was on the 18th. That was pretty much the few biggest things in that one. Like it wasn't. Like each insider's not hugely in depth.
Too bad the psychology never worked out because I like psychology in games.
Well, I mentioned
if it's done properly.
Yeah, I mentioned this.
It wasn't done properly.
Right. Like if you give too many things immunity, like it's just it does become kind of.
Well, if you think about it in 40k terms, like most things are immune to fear test, for example.
Well, yeah, because that's just the predominance of a certain faction. But like I'm just saying, psychology well done in a tabletop war game is pretty rewarding.
But the thing is, so I mentioned this in last week's discussion, is like by removing the command checks, by removing the randomness, they actually open up design space to do things that feel like psychology but feel like more fun.
Right.
Yeah. Like we mentioned, like last week, you can lower a unit's command score, and what that does is like. It forces them to clump closer together because, like, you know, they're scared or whatever. Like they're going to group closer together. You can do that now without being like, oh yeah, well they're also going to fail every command check because.
And then that's the thing. Like they can make it based around abilities and things that you're counting on, and they can make it matter to the game rather than just like a really low % chance to roll and fail.
Yeah, and I also like it that the command check specifically because. I don't really like rolling dice to stop your opponent from doing something or rolling dice to see if your opponent's thing works. Mm-hmm. I feel like, you know, now if they do something that's like a spell that's psychology based, you as the attacker can roll dice to see if it succeeds. Mm-hmm. And then like that'll be like, okay, yeah, target unit can't move this turn because they're cowering and shitting their pants.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can do things that feel like psychology without just leaving it that one random roll.
Exactly. And I think that will open. Like I'm sure that they'll use that to effect in the game.
Better.
Hopefully somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Another big change here is officers and standards no longer exist as a thing.
Well, okay, they're not called that.
They are officers and standards, but they're called command attachments, and you're limited to 3 of them per unit.
No. Yeah. You're limited to 3 weapon attachments of any combination available to the unit.
That's right.
You have as many command attachments as you have field allowance for that unit. So that means that your druids always have an overseer if you want. You're not limited to just the one like you were before. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually a huge deal, just because a lot of units a lot of units require their command attachment to function. Yeah, like the Druid Overseer makes the unit basically worth tanking because it gives them advanced deployment so that they can be in position to drop the clouds. It gives them elemental protection, which is less important than counter magic. But
and I think the problem was like a lot of the times it was an undecision. It was like, well, if you're going to use this unit at all, you have to have it. Yeah. So why not just make it part of the unit?
Well, no, and the thing is like it made the field allowance on the unit a lie. Yeah. Because, like, sure, I can take 3 of this unit, but they're only good with the FA1 unit attachment.
Yeah, like War Spears are a good example, where the UA gives them, like, Assault and, there's another Huntsman, there we go. Yeah, and it's like, prey. It's like, without that, they're...
Same with Skinwalkers. Same with... So many units.
Like and then it goes on to say, units can now take a maximum of 3 weapon attachments from any valid weapon attachment options they have.
So what they're implying there is they're going to add more weapon attachment options that are interchangeable potentially. You might even see like, you have a Signar weapon, like, okay, let's say like KR weapon attachment. Maybe now you can add like a artillery piece as a weapon attachment to any KR infantry unit. Like,
and you can mix and match as long as they don't contain more than 3.
Exactly.
Is the gist of that one. So yeah, I think that I mean, first off, it gives you more options in terms of how you want to kit out your individual units. Because you'd be like, for example, again, turning into GW terms, you could be like...
we can stick with Warmachine. I was at the Legion level. Like,
so I mean, like you can have like brute thralls and other thralls and stuff mixed in with your mechano thralls, and like that can be a meaningful decision. And then you can maybe mixing and matching is a good idea. Maybe it's not. I mean, depending on what you want to do.
Like we'll have to see how much like they really open up the system, because like who knows, maybe you can add brute thralls to a bane thrall unit now. Like,
well, exactly.
It's hard to say, right?
Trolls are an amazing faction.
So
trolls are.
I love the models. Like they are the best.
In the Insider on the 20th, the other thing that they did is they actually showed the fronts and backs of the first card for 4 different units. So we've got the Mountain King, the Trencher Infantry, Epic Iris, and the Slayer Helljack.
Iris 2. There's no Epic on that card anymore.
So there's not.
They've done away, or at least it seems they've done away with like the convention of like Prime Epic, because there was nothing for a third other than also Epic.
Epic-y-er.
So now the unit has its name, and then it's like Iris 2, Iris 1, or whatever.
Okay, fair enough. Now these are all V1 cards, so I mean they may have been subject to change. I don't know, but and we don't have health totals on things like the Mountain King or the Mountain King. Everything else is or the Slayer. Or no, we do have the Slayer.
Slayer has its standard grid.
So anyway, we know that the Mountain King is going to cost 36 points. So
compared to 19.
So you may not be aware of this. What they've done is they've changed the way that the points scale.
Oh,
they've doubled the scale.
Right.
Basically doubling. Ish. I mean, between 1.5 and 2.
I think it makes sense because it was pretty limited before. Because with the lower point scale, it was like, well, how do you make this work any better now? Because it's like it was so hard to get an effect.
That's exactly why they did it. Like they wanted to make it more granular.
You know, like how do you points cost something that's probably worth 2.5 points?
Yeah.
Well, like, do you make him a 3-point thing? Now he's kind of underpowered for what 3 points gets you, or do you make him a 2-point thing? Now he's overpowered for what he gets you. Like, there's no. Like, it just didn't work super well. So they've basically doubled it ish.
Yeah, so it is more granular. Like, they have more room to play around with that now.
Exactly. So the Mountain King, he comes in at a whopping 36 points, which
is less than double what he costs.
Is less than double what he costs. He's still 5 Fury. He's still POW 19 weapons. They've given him the Rage Animus, which is +3 strength on him or whatever's target.
It's target model, isn't it?
Yeah, range 6, so it's whatever. Friendly faction war beast gains +3 strength.
Oh, they have limited to war beast now. I thought that Rage was a model before, but
I don't
know that for a fact. I just
so he's got bulldoze, kill shot, snacking, and whelp shedding, and his deathly roar has deafen. Now, bulldoze when his model is based on the name.
They changed the wording on bulldoze a little bit because it makes it make more sense now. Basically, whenever he touches something during his activation, he gets to shove it 2 inches away.
Oh, okay.
But only once per model. Like, you can't bulldoze the same model multiple times, but you can bulldoze multiple models once. And that's actually really significant for something with a huge base and a 2-inch reach.
Yeah, also because I was just going to say, also, it has no effect when the model makes a trample power attack. So you can't bulldoze and
you wouldn't want to trample, like, because that would push them out of the range of the trample attack.
Okay.
You're also not noting that it has assault on the front of the card now, along with gunfighter. And
I mean, they've changed some of the icons, so some of them.
Assault didn't have an icon.
Okay.
Yeah. They've given Assault a new icon.
So he has kill shot, which is interesting. So when he once per activation, when an enemy model is destroyed or removed from play as a result of a melee attack he makes, he can immediately make a ranged attack. And that's all it says. It doesn't.
Yes.
And he does have gunfighter now.
Yes.
Which makes more sense.
He always had like a weapon platform ability, which is what Gargantuans have, that allows them to do that.
Oh, okay.
It's explicitly on the front of the card now.
So like he can punch somebody and then scream out and hit another guy.
Hit a bunch of dudes. It's a 10-inch spray.
Wow.
And the other thing that this confirms is actually someone on the Privateer Press forums confirmed this, because there was a complaint like, oh, well, having rate of fire 1 and kill shot not saying it ignores rate of fire makes me sad because it means you won't be able to use it if you assault. And a Privateer Press member responded that's like, actually, that's only if you read kill shot in Mark 2 terms. In Mark 3, rate of fire in Mark 2 terms. In Mark 3, rate of fire indicates the amount of initial attacks you can make with that ranged weapon.
Oh, okay, not the amount of total attacks
that's
you can
correct.
Potentially. That's insane.
There is a new rule, I believe, called reload, which determines how many times you can shoot it again.
Oh, okay.
But what that means is like you don't have to have kill shot say that it ignores rate of fire because it doesn't matter.
Well, and kill shot specifically says once per activation. So
kill shot, yes, kill shot is once per activation, but you can assault in, breathe sound on people, because that's what it is, and then kill someone with a melee attack, do another deathly roar.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And it's a 10-inch spray that's POW 16.
That's really
it's actually a big deal.
And one big change is that as opposed to like whether or not you have reach, reach doesn't exist as a term anymore. At least
seems not to.
All melee attacks as well as ranged attacks have a specific range now. So like before, it used to be everything was half an inch, but if you had reach, it was
2 inches.
2 inches. Yeah. Now it specifically says on the card how far
your melee range
is, right? So that's nice, and it eases up on the rules complexity, right? Like,
I think the only reason it was like the way it was before is because there was no pre-measuring allowed. So it made more sense to be able to only check like if you can check your melee range at any time, like. It made sense that it was only half an inch or 2 inches, as opposed to now where you can pre-measure anything anytime.
Yeah, pre-measuring's in now, so that's a nice change.
I like pre-measuring.
Well, because like it's an unnecessary skill to have to play a game.
Yeah, that was a huge thing for us when they brought pre-measuring into like the games I play.
Yeah, we talked about that in at length in our last episode.
Oh yeah, and then we argued about it for a while.
And how Bryce was wrong.
Yeah, Bryce wrong.
I agree.
And then his Deathly Roar has a deafenability, so anybody who's hit by it, or a model hit by it, suffers -2 defense and cannot give or receive orders for 1 round. Now, that'll be significant when we understand exactly what counts as an order. Maybe it's the same, maybe it's not.
Yeah, if they didn't change anything, you nail the unit leader with of something with that. Even if it doesn't kill them, they can't issue a run charge order.
Yeah,
stuff like it's a POW 16, so it's probably gonna fucking kill them. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Okay, the -2 defense is really cool because it brings him to like. You boost 1 shot against something, so you hit defense 15 on average, and then you're mat 8 against it for the rest of the turn.
One thing I think is hilarious about the Mountain King, his threshold is 6.
Yeah, so you don't want to leave Fury on him.
You leave Fury on him, and chances are he's going to go insane and murder somebody.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so that's interesting. Otherwise, he looks very similar to how they operate currently.
Again, it is interesting that it's less than double his current points, though.
Yeah, that's true. So, the thing, there's been. In the pre-last Primecast, they were saying, initially they were saying, oh, it's double, and then they corrected themselves on Twitter saying, oh, it's more like 1.5, and then in the most recent Primecast, they go back to saying it's double.
But look at the Iris is twice her current cost. She's 6 points instead of 3.
Yeah,
it looks like they're. I'm guessing that they're erring more on the side of making beasts and jacks better.
Yeah,
although beasts didn't really need it, but.
So it's really actually there was some stuff from the Primecast today that'll come up that'll be interesting. But let's move on to the Trench for Infantry because it's the only infantry unit card we have, and they're chock full of abilities. So
how much do they cost points wise?
So they're 10 points for a leader and 5 grunts, or 16 points for a leader and 9 grunts. So like a full unit, 16 points plus any weapon or unit attachments. I wouldn't be surprised if the unit ended up being 25 points.
Compared to what?
Baseline trenchers are
7, 6. What were they originally?
Trencher commandos and trencher infantry are different. So
trencher infantry.
I think they're probably maybe 6 or 9 points for a full unit, but I don't know if they have. I don't know if they have weapon attachment. I don't play Signar.
Yeah, fair enough. Now they've got brutal charge, so they can affix their bayonets and shank somebody on the way in. They've got dig in. Their smoke bombs are centered directly on them, so it's no longer like a placement thing.
That's such a corner case of never mattering.
Fair. They are field allowance unlimited, so that's still a thing.
Which means any unit, any command attachments for them will also be FA unlimited.
They've got advanced deploy. What was that? Assault. Combined range attack and tough.
Okay, so they don't have Pathfinder, but
and then they're aside from tough, they're hilariously easy to kill because they're 13/13.
Yeah, but tough and dig in. You dig in your defense 17, assuming cover is the same thing. And then you can dig in, and then the next round you can drop smoke bombs on yourself.
They seem absurdly good. They seem like a really well-rounded, do whatever the hell I feel like.
It's interesting to note too that they have a 1-inch melee range.
They do.
So they're actually longer range than your standard troops nowadays.
Yeah, because we're got the rifle and the bayonet.
Yeah, right? Well, sure. I'm not saying there's no reason for it.
So yeah, that'll be.
They seem like a solid buy. It seems like a unit that is worth purchasing in Signar, which is a change from Signar right now.
Yeah, which is not.
Signar right now has pretty shit for infantry.
They've got
they rely on mercenaries a lot.
So Epic Iris Angel of Retribution, advanced deploy, assault, Pathfinder, and stealth still. crossbow. Crossbow, bayonet, and sabers all are magical weapons. Her melee weapons are weapon master. They cause crit fire and.
That's not crit fire. That's blessed.
Oh shit! I don't know what that does.
Ignores buffs adding to armor or defense.
And what's that one? Little magical
disruption.
Okay. That's a thing now on a.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Blessed and Disruption now have icons.
Okay.
As it says, like right below, can you spot the new icons for Assault, Blessed, and Disruption?
Well, I'm reading from the top.
I know,
down.
you just don't read the whole thing first.
Like how you read a book, okay, man?
No, but see, when you're doing something professional like this, you read the whole thing first and then you go through it again.
Or you wing it.
Or you wing it.
It's not my fault that you suck.
You could just be a total badass and wing it and get it right. That's
right.
right.
You didn't get it right, though.
No,
you thought it was crit fire.
You seem pretty right? That's what I thought.
Jim doesn't know. I know.
In Top Gun, guys, this is where Goose misjudged the thing and he just smacked his head on the inside of the glass.
I mean, obviously that means Goose was just... he was a trooper. He was a true believer.
Goose was too busy looking at the sheet trying to figure out what the
Nobody even
was.
remembers who played Goose, so whatever.
Whereas he read it before the plane even took off. Press the button! Oh, shit.
Yeah, pretty much. So we've got... Iris... Yeah, you're right. It is Iris 2 now, rather than...
Yes.
But the thing is, it doesn't say anywhere on the front of the card. It's on the back. That's interesting.
It says it on the front of the card.
Is it really? No, it doesn't. Iris, Angel of Retribution, Mage Hunter...
Look down about 2 millimeters.
Oh, so it does. Anyway, so she's got reposition at 3 inches. And now the interesting thing about reposition is that it says the distance next to it, which normally... So it's not just a keyword thing, it's a keyword plus distance.
Yeah, well, it's just a keyword that has an additional thing. Also revealed, I believe, today...
We've got more...
I know, but it's relevant right now. Like
there's so is the tough thing, so is...
I know, but...
We'll get there. It's all right, baby, we get there.
Fucking slowing my roll.
Anyway, so she got reposition, which means that at the end of an activation which did not run or fail a charge, she can move 3 inches. Then her activation ends. So like she has a little bit of ability to get out. She has a little bit of ability to
reposition, if you
will. Yeah. I don't know that. I mean, I think that if she's, I don't know if she's gonna really need that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, it's good to have. Like she's a solo sniper, so she can pick off a good model and then back off so she doesn't get destroyed in retribution.
That's true. And her having stealth means that like that 3 inches could matter, I guess.
Yeah, and she's 6 points, so like 6 points for one model, you want to protect it a little bit more than not at all.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So then she's got Spellbreaker, so when she hits a model with an attack, either melee or range, it doesn't specify, so any attack, enemy upkeep spells in the model hit expire. A spellcaster can keep those upkeeps if they suffer D3 damage points.
So the thing about this is like this is what you mostly took Iris for in Mark II is ability to remove upkeep spells. And strictly speaking, she's worse at that because now the enemy has an out. Like you can opt to take between 1 and 3 damage to keep your upkeep spell on. So I think like at range, she's significantly worse at doing that because a lot of the time you will be able to just afford to take 1 to 3 damage if your upkeep spell is important enough.
Okay.
So I think that shifts the role of the model a bunch.
A little bit. Well, yeah. Then she's got Witch Hunter, which is when an enemy model declares casting a spell within 10 inches of her, so like a really far distance. This model can immediately make a basic attack targeting the enemy spellcaster.
Wait, does it say basic attack?
Basic attack.
That is new terminology, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't notice that when I read the card first.
If the spellcaster is destroyed, the spell does not take effect. So you can actually counterspell somebody by blowing them up. Well, if you shoot somebody in the face, they have a really hard time.
As long as they keep, as long as spellcaster refers to models like druids and hex hunters and grey lords and what have you, that's really cool because she's rank 9, and I mean she's got a POW, POW 10, but that's gonna kill most
and her crossbow has purgation, so if they have an upkeep spell on them, you get weapon master on the gun.
Well, yeah, additional attack and damage rolls.
I think she'll be pretty nasty late game because when you've only got that few damage left on that key model.
Exactly. That's
and now it's like, I need to buff him. I need to get this going, and she'll snipe it out, and it's like, well, it's not going to happen. Now you lose the model.
I think more than
late game would be really good.
So what I was going to say though is I think more than that is if you get her in range of like a unit of dudes that can cast spells. It's like, this guy tries to cast a spell, shoot him in the face. This guy tries to cast a spell, shoot him in the face. Like 10-inch bubble is huge.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing, Jen, is like, Steve didn't go over this because he's a scrub. She has assault, which means like she can like this is new. So in fairness, Steve is not that much of a scrub. He's still just a scrub.
So she has.
We forgive you because you're making up for Logan not being in today.
Fair enough.
So you're semi-direct to semi-Logan today.
I'm not that angry though.
So-
I don't feel it.
So she has assault, which means she can charge into something. Like she can charge and make a ranged attack on the way in. So if you have like a high priority target, like a colossal or like a heavy warjack or something that you really want to get an upkeep spell off of, you can charge in. You hit it with the bolt, like the bow on the way in. If they choose to take the damage to keep the upkeep spell on, she has 2 melee attacks, which also purge the upkeep spell. So at that point, now you're taking between 3 and 9 damage, which is a significantly bigger deal to upkeep the spell.
Yeah.
But your opponent also has the option to just lose it on the first one and take no damage. So it's like there's an interplay there that I'm not sure. Like the rules feel like they're like contradicting themselves almost on Iris, and it'll be interesting to see where Iris 2 like ends up.
Yeah.
I think Steve is right in that she's more interesting as like an area denial piece for like spellcasting units now because she's more guaranteed to work that way.
Well, and I mean, and she's still an expensive piece, so like you really need to get 6. So for one model, that's
exactly
a lot.
double what she used to cost.
And the reason why I say she's expensive because I'm looking at the Slayer here, and the Slayer comes in at 10 points. So like proportionally, she's 4 points less than a heavy.
Yes.
Like that's a huge point.
Yes.
To be fair, the Slayer is I think proportionally less expensive than he was previously.
Yes.
But
less than like he was 6 points before, so it's less than twice his price.
But that being said, like that's still. When you're looking at that kind of level of points disparity, you're looking at is she worth taking? And you have to get value out of her.
And you think about it too, like against the trenchers, like she's 10 points less. Like she's more than a third of the cost of 10 dudes.
Yeah, and is she gonna get that back in the game?
She's not going to do as much at like in terms of ranged firepower as they are.
She's also, and then the nice thing is though, she's also not any more like a game over piece for your enemy, like Warcaster.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean I like that. I just don't know if she'll like. It'll be interesting to see how we.
But we're looking at her in isolation because who knows what the rest of the
exactly. That's true.
I mean, I got a feeling it's going to be. It's hard to see now, but channel subscribers, back my bet, patron it. I think she's going to be one of those who's going to be deadly combo if you can unlock the certain combo. I think she's going to work with a certain kind of list build with the rest of the cards coming out. I'm going to say it right now, she's going to be the cornerstone of that particular gambit.
Maybe. I mean, that's possible.
I am personally interested to see if Iris 1 gets to have some fun toys now that Iris 2 is not like god tier auto include.
So now we look at the only example of a heavy warjack that we have here as the Slayer at 10 points FAU, so you can have as many of you as you want. 10 points. I mean, in comparison, we don't know how many boxes the Mountain King has, but like he is 3.6.
He is tougher though. Like he's also got more armor outright.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is, so you get a heavy warjack for 10 points in this game of doubling the points cost. It's super cheap. He's got his 3 initials, so
same as before.
Yep, same as before. Range 1,
which is new,
rather than half inch. So he's actually got a little bit more.
I'm gonna take that to assume that all heavies are gonna have at least range 1.
I'm surprised the Tusks don't have half an inch range.
I'm a little bit too, but I mean, again, I think it's just because he's a heavy.
I also think it doesn't matter that much.
Well, probably not, but
he's repairable.
That's not repairable. That's construct.
Oh,
they've now listed construct as a thing on warjacks. What does it say? Does it say Crick's heavy warjack?
Crick's heavy warjack.
Okay, so they're no longer calling it a helljack, which is nice for consistency's sake, because like helljack was just the Crick's terminology for heavy warjack.
Okay.
It's interesting that they're making it like obvious when it's a construct, because like what does that mean? Does that mean that
there's probably something that operates off of construct as a rule?
No, yeah, sure, but like you used to be able to assume that warjacks. You used to be able to assume that warjacks were constructs.
Might be easy to repair, and it might not have as much autonomy as another kind of beast. So it might, construct, you're not subject to rage, for example.
The thing is, things shouldn't be
berserk, whatever you called it.
In the game, though, things shouldn't be implicit; they should be explicit, right? Like, so I think that
I suppose
even if there was no change, it having it on the card makes a lot of sense.
But like that, it seems to me like they're like, what would a living warjack be? Because it's not monstrosity. Because monstrosities are monstrosities.
That's right. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Ravager Press, are you making really gross Crick's living warjacks? Because that would be kind of cool.
Otherwise, I think he's pretty much the same. He's got combo strike, which
is the same.
Works the same.
Yeah.
And his tusks have hard head, so you add the weapon's POW to its head, but slam power damage.
Yeah, it's basically the same as it always was. I don't
I don't know if it had Mat 7 before. I think it probably did.
I don't think so. I don't know. Mat 7's very high.
I know, but it's a Cricksjack. Who cares?
I mean, it's possible. One thing that one thing that they said in the future to that was that they really wanted to have an emphasis of like multiple warjacks being an option. So the power up rule is part of that, but also
and Mat 7 makes sense for that too, because then you're talking about like this warjack who gets his free focus and can charge make his 3 initials and usually hit them with Mat 7.
Yeah, and it
What
doesn't.
was those points cost? The new one?
10
from
6.
Interesting.
But yeah, exactly. But the thing
If
is,
they're going the way of other games that I play, where the new edition they drop the points across the board a little bit, so there's a few more models coming in.
Well, it's not. We haven't seen that so far. We've seen that with the heavies, like with the warjacks, which to me makes sense because the game has always been like in my mind it's been about.
Always been around them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Right. Prior to the toss.
Like that makes sense. But Iris is still double the points. Trenchers are probably double the points. We'll have to see what some of the other options become. But I mean, certainly some things are getting a little bit cheaper.
yeah.
Iris is a named character, whereas this is generic. So I'm thinking maybe with the generics we might be seeing a bit of a reduction just to have a few more.
It's
models
possible.
I mean,
Yeah.
What was the average points game before?
50.
50, right?
Yeah.
So now it'll be 100.
Yeah, probably.
Well, okay. Apparently, the what has been said, although whether or not it's rumored or true, was 75.
Right.
Well, again, though,
For now, initially maybe.
That could be a 35 point. I don't know.
So I still say that like 75 points. There was also a rumor that warjack points on warcasters. So basically, every warcaster warjack or every warcaster warlock has a certain amount of free points that they get that must be spent on warjacks or warbeasts. Typically, right now it's in the range of like 4 to 7.
Yeah.
Steve was saying it's like 30.
It's going to be 28 to 30.
And so with that increase, even though it's only a 75 point game, you're playing with 75 points plus 30 rather than 50 plus 6.
Warbeast tax.
Yeah. It makes sense to me that it's still going to be roughly double the size of the game, even if it's 75 points.
That's true. So, I mean, effectively, you might be playing like a 55 point game. That would be my theory. Maybe like a 60 point game. Maybe a little bigger. Like maybe it does scale a little bit.
I think it'd be pretty close, except more of it has to be in your jacks.
Yeah.
60 points worth of models, but you're playing the 50 point equivalent, which makes sense because there's no point doing an edition without encouraging you to buy more toys.
Well, I mean, there's that.
In my case, I already have all the toys because I like collecting like all of the different warjacks and warbeasts.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, exactly. I have all the warcasters. I have every circle warlock.
Okay.
So I mean, of course, I'm gonna have to buy the fucking battle box.
And soon they may all be useful.
But there's a lot of people like I know who make a list. They only buy those models, they paint those models, and that's it.
Yeah, those people are what we call scrubs and cowards. Cowards. Because they're like, oh, I can only play this list because I'm terrible.
I think people should be able to engage in the hobby and their plastic toys in whatever way they want.
I don't, but that's me. Fuck you all.
You shut up and die. I mean, you Gandhi of the tabletop wargaming. Right? That's a piece, but I'm actually with you, Steve, on that one.
Well, that's the thing. It's like,
why should you? Like, I know people that specifically they've played the exact same list,
and that's
years.
That's fine.
They put a lot of time and effort into the painting too.
That's fine. But what I'm gonna do in that case is I'm gonna find a list that completely fucking train wrecks that one. And I'm gonna play against them every time and make them have a terrible day until they buy something else.
The thing is, like,
they stop playing you
because I'm an asshole.
What I want to see from the game, and I've stated this kind of before, is that person who gets that one singular list, that's perfectly fine. I think that they should be able to swap out the warcaster and have a different experience, because that's kind of part of the core tenets of the game, at least originally.
But maybe they like the mystery.
Maybe, but like the thing is, like, I think that they should have the option to not swap out a lot of models and have a big impact on how they operate.
Because I'm talking about a guy that has they don't have points anymore, but I had a 14,000 point Orc and Goblin army.
Wow.
Which literally is all the models ever times multiples. But I played the exact same 2,500 point list for 5 years.
You're talking about yourself or
me?
Oh, okay.
But I owned 14,500 points.
But how many of those models were painted?
The exact 2.5. Out of my 14,
yeah,
6,000 was painted.
Wow. And you didn't change it up or bust it?
No, I loved it so much. It was that 2,500
so
points.
Why the hell did you buy the other 12,000 points?
Because I like collecting. I wanted them all.
See?
All right, fair enough.
It's like Pokemon. You got to catch them all, right?
Yeah.
See, yeah.
Okay, so in the Insider from the 21st, what's the date today?
The 21st.
That's today.
Although, I mean, I don't actually know the date. It might be I don't know.
22nd now, technically.
Yeah, so.
It depends on if you want to go with this. I subscribe to the theory, the date doesn't change until I go to bed. And I wake up.
I mean.
So for me, it's still the 21st, but it's going to be technical with the 22nd. But that means we've been here for 2 days recording to bring you quality content.
And you haven't even paid us. Yeah. Fucking slave
I'm not going to. Okay, well, so anyway, from the most recent Insider, one of the big things is that theme lists are changing. So historically, you'd have...
I liked theme lists. I like my beast list with other...
So check this out. You might like this, actually. So historically, it's been like per Warcaster. Warcaster theme list.
Totally. Warcaster theme list. It would totally build up the list, yeah.
Now, the problem with that is that you end up with a very linear build path in terms of like your collection and what you want to have with that specific Warcaster. What they've done with theme lists is they've detached the theme list from the Warcaster and said, okay, for the army, here are your theme lists. Any Warcaster can take them. No. Really? You're not a big fan of that?
I go to McDonald's. I want my burger. It's going to come with fries or poutine. Salad if you really want to go that way. Don't go that way, guys. And a drink. That is my theme. I like it. I have 10 different options of which burger is going to lead my charge.
Exactly.
Right? Chicken burger, but it still comes with the side and the drink.
But exactly. That's how this is going to work.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So you can choose any Warcaster, any burger, and you still get your same theme. You still get your same meal.
Well, that was a shit analogy I used. Right? I want that. I want my epic Haley. I think it was Haley.
So what
Legion, was it Haley?
Not Legion, but
in your analogy, you're saying that you don't get fries and a drink unless you get...
Who was the, in Legion days, who was the caster that allowed you to have a really awesome beast list?
All of them.
Absolunia.
No, Absolunia. It was Absolunia, and I loved it.
Yeah, but now you can have...
You can still do that, but you can also do that with a different Warcaster.
Or a different version of Absolunia.
Yeah, or like Absolunia 2.
I think this is why they're cutting all the fluff from version 3, from Mark 3, because I liked it because of the backstory.
Well, the thing is, the fluff is going to exist. It's just in a concise, consolidated place.
Fluff is gone, guys. I'm going to go on record, right? Another bet, guys. Back me on Patreon when I get one, so I can make a bet to say... They are done with fluff, and I'll tell you why. It costs money to have fluff. You gotta write it. You gotta.
Well, they're still gonna write it.
The yeah.
They're just releasing it in separate books.
Yeah, but the beauty of that is they'll only release this many books compared to say this many printed
but there'll
rule
be
books.
This much fluff
because
in them.
They know from you guys. You guys are anti-fluff, not you.
I'm not anti-fluff.
Not you guys. I'm talking about the Warmachine crowd as a whole is very anti-fluff, and I know this for a fact because I know a shitload of you Warmachine guys.
I think the tournament.
And when I go to you guys and say, "Hey, tell me about this model."
I think
they talk about the strength and the range and this and this. I go, no, tell me about the model.
I think you have your built-in prejudices.
No, I'm talking about the fluff. And this is why I think Privateer Press has done a great move by recognizing that, cutting it out of the core, because that's where all the money would go for the printing, shove it to the side so that small fringe faction that still wants to invest into that can happily do that. Bringing down their overall cost that way, increasing their profit margin, because they know overall people don't care.
In my case, I'm way happier reading it in a book than reading it in 15 different supplements.
But you was never a fluff reader.
I am, though.
You wasn't.
Only in books, though. I'm not going to go through the
But in army books, you was never a fluff reader.
No, not in army books. It's just the information.
You're like my pal John Falkowski. He owns like more armies than I've got fingers.
I've read every piece of fluff in every army book that I've owned for this game.
But that's why you're always the strong. That's why you're my go-to guy in the trio.
Sure, okay. And
fair enough.
Like I think the tournament players may not care about fluff as much, but I know a bunch of casual players do. Like I know Logan is really into the fluff too. So it's like. That's 2/3 of us.
I enjoy the fluff, but the thing is, I don't have the
patience. I know you're not here today, mate, but you've grown a few points today. I didn't know that. That's good.
And the thing is, I'm interested in the fluff. I'm just not interested in finding it through 15 different source books. So normally, what'll happen is I'll ask Mike or Logan, and they can tell me a story. But this way, I can actually read the full book in one consolidated place and get that story because I care about the story. I just don't care about the way they're trying to offer it previously.
And I expect that each model entry in a book is still going to contain some fluff about that model.
A little blurb, probably.
But they just won't have a story that goes along with the book that's part of a continuity.
Yeah.
They're not going to go Marvel Cinematic Universe of army books anymore. Because that's kind of what they had, is they had a single story that was continuing over multiple faction books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And multiple
which made it hard for people that don't want to buy those armies
Exactly.
to get those books just to read the story. So it's a good move. But I also think, cynically, I think less people are into fluff.
Maybe. So one of the things they say about this is ultimately they realized the original decision had arbitrarily pigeonholed warcasters, and the true expression of theme forces as the core and compelling themes themselves was far bigger than any individual warcaster. So these ideas behind the armies are what drives the theme forces, not necessarily just one warcaster's particular preference, which to me makes a lot of sense. And I do really like that as an idea. We'll see how it plays out, though, because, I mean, I have to imagine there's going to be theme forces where specific casters just benefit from them more than others.
Yeah, obviously. Well, or vice versa is more likely. The theme force benefits more from a certain caster than another one. Because you're still gonna have casters that are better at running like lots of beasts or jacks, and you're still gonna have casters that are better at running a bunch of infantry.
So one of the things they say about theme forces actually is in the new editions, theme forces contain thematic, exciting in-game rules that further differentiate the models within from their non-theme counterparts. So, for example, Arcane Tempest Gun Mages in the Sons of the Tempest theme force all gain combined range attack. In the Trollblood's Power of Dunia theme force, all Trollblood War Beasts gain +2 threshold.
I feel like that's gonna be fucking useless.
Well,
because I feel like you're never unless there's some reason to leave Fury on beasts. Well, that there isn't now. Because the thing is, you're always limiting them for future turns if you leave Fury on them right now.
I mean, we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
But, so to represent the calming power of the Mother Goddess that surrounds the army. So, that makes a lot of sense. And it seems to me a little bit that they're toning down the power levels of the theme forces and then allowing anybody to...
You can't say that, though.
Well, based on these examples.
No, because giving Arcane Tempest Gun Mages combined range attack's a big fucking deal.
Well, how do we know? We haven't seen a character.
Okay, but you can't contradict my point either.
That's fair.
You can't say I'm wrong, but you can't say that I'm right either. So we don't really know.
We don't know. We're just making shit up at this point.
Yeah. But I just think that comparatively speaking, CRA on Gun Mages is a way bigger deal than +2 threshold on Beasts. Well, but those aren't the full benefits of both lists, I'm sure.
Probably not.
So it's probably the better benefit of one and the worst benefit of the other.
Additionally, Mercs and Minions, now they've done away with the contract system, so when you build an army, you can just use whatever the hell, with some exceptions. So they used an example the Precursor Knights are just never going to be cool with Thamarites, no matter what the situation is.
Because they're religious opposites.
Okay. Yeah. But in general...
See? Fluff.
Yeah. In general, you'll actually be able to make a list that contains both, which is nice.
Come check out the Connection Games and Comics. We have the largest selection of Warmachine and Horde miniatures in the Lower Mainland. Warmachine Wednesdays and Sundays, with tables and terrain to play your game.